champion going down in that one after a good, solid performance from Mark Ramsey.
Mark Ramsey, we've seen him twice now in 2:35 and 2:68, and a very good game by the loser, Terry Wenban's 2:25. But in the next match, we've got Gary Jeffrey of South Australia. We've seen him before. He had a 2:02 loss against Ian Bradford, and his opponent is Rob Zikman, coming in for the first time. 1987 WA Open, the Australian team captain in the last FIQ Overseas Championships, and the current coach of the Victorian junior team.
Gary Jeffrey ready to put down his first ball.
Nice start for Gary Jeffrey. And he'll be pumped up against the tournament leader. Tournament leaders have to have pretty strong hearts. They seem to get hit with everything but the kitchen sink, and if Gary can put a few of those together, well, that'll put Zikman under quite a lot of pressure. There's Rob Zikman. Rob's really run away with the tournament in the last couple of rounds. He's taken a 71-pin lead over Ian Bradford after 14 matches. Mark Ramsey is fairly safely placed in third there, 15 pins behind Bradford. But Tom Curry, the Queenslander and a former winner of the South Pacific Classic, Bob Cook, has moved up. He's only, 48 pins out of third place.
Yes, a danger man, Tom Curry. He can pull out the really big scores when he needs them. He's done that many times in the past. And I wouldn't like him breathing down my neck in third place. He always puts the pressure on the bowlers up top to keep maintaining. Now, Zikman doesn't look like faltering. He's won every match in competition over this last stretch.
Yes, it's a pretty unforgiving individual sport, though, is 10-pin bowling. A bit like golf, when you find the bunkers in 10-pin bowling, I guess you find corner pins standing. Gary let that one get away from him. He would like to have thrown it further out towards the left on the lane, but it jumped away from him right down there near the pins. Rob was complaining about that a little earlier, leaving those corner pins standing, but the value of leaving corner pins, Bob, is that at least he's hitting the strike area.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with hitting the pocket. Sooner or later the strikes are going to flow, particularly when you throw the ball as well as these bowlers do.
Well, Gary Jeffrey's spare then gives him a lead of a pin in the first frame, and that's all you need to get those 20 bonus pins in these lead-up games to the semi and grand finals. Big prize money here in the South Pacific Classic this year, sponsored by Peter's Paul's Ice Cream and Smith's Lights Crisps. $70,000 in total prize money and awards, including a couple of trips for the highest place eligible Australians to go to the Bowling World Cup. Gary Jeffrey almost got that trip to the World Cup last year when he lost the final match to Ian Bradford. And he'd love to win it. Of course, he's going to have to overcome Rob Zikman and hope that he can move up the list. He's not placed in the top 6 at the moment. He's certainly close by.
Zikman again, leaving that 10-pin, pin in the corner. He needs to do an adjustment. He's just working out what to do.
Well, I'd hang around there if I was him, and I might say I had a look at this ball before the match started. It has a very large weight hole drilled in the side. He had 3 ounces or more top weight, and he drilled out a hole the length of my finger and probably an inch in diameter. We can't see it now, it's on the other side of the ball, but it's a very large hole, and it's probably making the ball react somewhat differently when it hits the pins. It's got a nice straight line to the pocket, no nonsense from Rob Zikman. Just gets up and does the job, and what a good spare that was. Gary Jeffrey, for such a large man, he's 6 foot odd and pretty hefty. he keeps a nice pace on the ball, and that helped him to get to a 230 average during the qualifying rounds of this event. And Rob Zikman, well, Zicky's over 6 foot tall.
He's been a great sportsman, good cricketer in Melbourne. He didn't stay around the pocket, but he got the strike all the same.
Well, bowling's a funny game. You tend to get a whole lot of times that you should get strikes, and then you get one like that where it was completely misdirected. He was well out of timing when he let the ball go, but the pins went nonetheless. So the score at the end of that frame, 59 for Gary Jeffrey and 58 for Rob Zikman. Jeffrey looking for a double. Oh, my. That one jumped on him. Just a little bit too much finesse that time, trying to point the ball into the pocket, and this is not the sort of lane condition to do that.
Jeffrey looking a little lethargic, actually. He's lost a few matches. I think his confidence is down. Zikman, on the other hand, is on top of the situation. He'll take advantage of that bad shot from his opponent.
Oh, well, there's a perfect example, Bob, of your comment a moment ago about ball control, speed control on the ball. A little bit slower when he let it go, very purposeful, and look at that face. Yes, he says, I've got it now.
He got the 10 pin, it was the last one to go.
Well, that pin we just saw wiped off there was the remaining one of the 3 that Gary Jeffrey left up, and his score now 87, so Rob Zikman all of a sudden from a pin behind, about 20 pins in the lead.
Ken, would you like to make a prediction on this one? You've learning a fair bit about 10-pin bowling over the last few weeks.
Yes, I'm inclined to think that Rob Zikman, who seems to be much steadier, looks to be the likely winner at this point. But as I've found out over the last few weeks, you can be very wrong very early in this game.
Yes, they tend to make liars of the commentators.
Almost like Murphy's Law.
It's a bad break from Rob. He could have had another strike there. Jeffrey needs to get back into the strike zone.
Yes, Gary's certainly a confidence player. He's led his South Australian team to a couple of victories in the Interstate Rockway Shield, bowling equivalent to the Sheffield Shield or the Claxton Shield in baseball. And he is a big-time player, but he's doing it tough against Rob Zikman, the tournament leader.
Way to make up 20-pin deficit is to get strikes.
Oh boy, he would have liked that one. Ken, that one looked good from the commentator position here.
Yes, it certainly did. When you said he would have liked it, I really thought he had it, but it wasn't to be.
Oh, that's a good hit for Rob here. Bit of a high hit on the nose of the head pin, right on the beak, as it were, but
yeah, big result. Look at that connection. Nice work.
And Gary Jeffrey gets that spare. Well, Gary's disappointed there, and rightfully so. That well could have been a double, and it would have only been 10 pins in arrears. As it is, 20 pins down, then facing the gun barrel of another barrage from Rob Zikman here.
There's three frames remaining. Rob won't want to make a mistake. He'll be looking to get another strike here and hit the nail into Jeffrey's coffin. How does that one look?
Oh, it doesn't look any. That's as good a ball as Rob's bowl in this whole tournament so far.
Certainly bowling like a winner. This would be the biggest win of Zikman's long career if he could go all the way today.
Yes, of course. One of the top 3 men will become Australia's representative in the 25th Bowling World Cup, going back to Dublin, Ireland this year, where it first started in 1965.
Gary Jeffrey has to get back into that strike zone.
He certainly has. And all the people out there in the clubs and hotels, motels would be thrilled to see that ball go right in the pocket. This is wonderful coverage on our Sky network. 5,700 outlets around Australia. We're seeing some excellent bowling by the Australian champions, the Australian team captain here now, Rob Zikman. Oh, my. What a good ball.
Certainly looking as though he's on top of his game in the latter stages of the match.
Yes, that was a big prediction of yours, Ken, I think.
Yes,
one that worked, maybe.
Keeping that concentration all the way through, too. Well, I tell you, yes, he could have just been 10 pins behind, but as it is now, he's virtually out of business, Gary Jeffrey. But this ball didn't look a great deal different to the one that he left the 7 pin on a moment ago, but they carried the lot.
There's the big crowd here at Bankstown getting right behind the two bowlers, giving everyone good support, whether they be South Australians, New South Welshmen or Victorians, whatever. We're loving every minute of this big tournament.
And we're loving every minute of a winner too. Everyone loves a winner, and Rob Zikman got plenty of supporters out here at the present time. He can go all the way for 247, and with just a couple of games to go in the lead-up matches to our semi and grand finals, Ken, I think that despite that strike by Gary Jeffrey, Rob Zikman's going to be the top seed for the following programs.
Yes, well, of course, those aggregate scores are so important, aren't they?
Yes, no doubt about it, Ken. The bowling tournament extends over a lot of games, and the pinfall maintained right through to the end. Every pin is important. Zikman will have a lot of support. He's an ex-Bankstown boy.
Good concentration. Oh, boy, this has been a good game, a top game by Rob Zikman. He's in the 240s now. Some of the highest scoring ever seen on Australian television here in our Sky coverage.
We can certainly vouch for the fact that this game is not this easy.
Just looks that way.
Well, when you get a good player on form, the game really does look quite simple, but as everyone out there watching knows, it's quite frustrating. And you have to bowl enough time to bowl as well as Rob Zikman there. 246, finishing with 5 strikes and a 9 count. He had 2 other strikes. And a very, very solid performance by the man who's consolidated his tournament lead now with that score.
Rob Zikman consolidating his position at the top of the table with a 246 to 203 win over Gary Jeffrey. Zikman coming through with strikes on 7, 8, 9, and then 2 in the 10th frame and finishing with a 9 pin. 246 to 203.
Oh boy, what a good game that was by Rob Zikman.